Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to Morning Wood. I'm Mitchell Cotton, and today I'm going to be going through my top 5 sleepers of the 2020 fantasy football season. Now, the term sleeper is kind of a vague term that people use, so the way that I define sleepers is guys who you can get at a lower part in the draft than they're typically going. So basically a sleeper would be Christian McCaffrey at the 3 spot because he should be going as the first pick, and if he's not, then the second. So that's basically what a sleeper is. And you guys will kind of get a feel for exactly what I mean also as I'm going through the players, and I'll kind of go into more depth. But no time to waste, so let's get into it. So I have one quarterback, 2 running backs. I just did one. One quarterback, 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, and 1 tight end. So kind of a player in each category, and then 2 running backs that you guys can target. And these are guys, again, like I said, that I think you can get at great values, and guys who I think have a ton of upside this year, who are just kind of flying under the radar. I guess I could have just said that to start. Guys who I think that are flying under the radar and aren't getting the talk that they should. But starting off, Matthew Stafford. So he's obviously my one quarterback, and I love Stafford so much. I'm biased. I'm a Lions fan. I'm Michigan raised, but I love Stafford for reasons other than that. Obviously, he gets all of his weapons back. So a lot of players, and this was kind of a crazy free agency, and thank God because of all the basically the pandemic shit. But he gets all of his weapons back. Guys have been traded a lot throughout the free agency, so a lot of quarterbacks are going to have to learn a lot of new receivers, a lot of new guys, basically a lot of new weapons that they have. Stafford gets all of his weapons back. He didn't lose anybody. He has the rapport built with everyone from last year. I mean, they added a couple guys that don't matter, like Geronimo Allison. Like, who gives a shit? You know, it's Geronimo Allison. Like, nobody's going to draft Geronimo Allison. If you do, just, I don't even know. Just end it all, I guess. But he gets all of his weapons back, and then he adds DeAndre Swift, who is maybe right up there with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the best receiving back in this draft class that just came out. He was highly regarded as at either the best or the second best, with Jonathan Taylor overall running back in the draft class. Now, I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire went first overall, and personally, I love that. I thought he was the best, and that's easy to say now because obviously he went first. But I liked Clyde a lot, just watching him at LSU. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is that DeAndre Swift is incredibly talented. He's fast. He's big. He's like 216, 214 or something. He's about 6 foot. But those are just all things that kind of basically Stafford has a fantastic supporting cast going into this year. And he had it last year also, and it's why he was a top 6 quarterback while he was still playing. He was 4th in fantasy points per game overall. Now, he played 8 games, only played half the season, and then he got injured. But he comes back, supposed to be fully healthy. We'll have to take their word for that. And like I said, 4th in fantasy points per game. He was 6th in his true passer rating. So what that essentially means is basically throws that are, it factors in hurried throws, basically throws that he doesn't have any pressure for, athletic throws that he makes, like on the run. I don't know what that exactly means. That's not left up to my discretion. It's the people who make the numbers. But 6th in productivity, 2nd in yards per attempt, and 5th in fantasy points per dropback. So the Lions threw the ball a lot. They were top half in the NFL in passes per game. I think they were 14th. But basically, each time he's dropping back, he is the 5th most productive quarterback in terms of a fantasy points perspective. So every time he drops back, it's valuable. And if he's dropping back a lot, then more points. Like I said, he was 4th last year in fantasy points per game. Now, the reason why I say points per game and not total fantasy points is because he was injured. So if it was total fantasy points, he'd be outside of the top 32 of any starting quarterback because he only played half the season as opposed to everyone else. But fantasy points per game, when he was healthy, he was 4th in the NFL. Basically, he's getting everything back that he had last year. He's going to walk in with the same mojo. He's got another year under his belt with Matt Patricia, who granted is awful and should be fired, but it doesn't matter because Stafford's been able to perform in a fantasy perspective with him anyway. And I have him on this list also because he's being drafted. His average draft position, ADP, is outside of the top 12, meaning that in one quarterback leagues, people are literally not taking Matt Stafford as their starting quarterback. Now, in the past 2 mock drafts that I've done, he has gone inside the top 12. 1, because I drafted him, and 2, because the draft software took him in another one, and I was pissed because I really fucking wanted him. But if you can get him as your quarterback 2, if you're in a 2-quarterback league, wow, you are set up fantastically because he's absolutely a fantastic quarterback play this year. I have him ranked at number 9 in my rankings, and frankly, I think he should be higher. I really think I could be higher on him if I really tried to be, but then people are always fine what they're looking for, and if I try to move him up higher, then I'll be able to. But I have him at 9, and it wouldn't surprise me even a little bit if he finished as a top 5 quarterback. Not even in the slightest bit. So I love Matt Stafford this year. Second, I got David Montgomery. Now we're going to go into the 2 running backs that I have here. First one, like I said, David Montgomery. We got to remember, he was a rookie last year. Yeah, he was a little deflating. People were taking him in the 3rd round, and that's tough because the Bears are just really strange as a team in terms of how they work their players into their role that they should be in. Last year, Montgomery, the first game out, he carried the ball like 6 times, and it's like he didn't get the workload because it's like they were feeding Mike Davis the ball, like 15 carries and a couple targets. It's just confusing. It's like, why do you have this extremely talented workhorse type running back and you're giving it to all this guy? But anyway, I like David Montgomery because he was a rookie last year. He's coming into his 2nd year. He started the last season at 21 years old. 21. He'll be 22 this year, and basically he's just taking a step forward. Running backs typically don't hit their prime season until they're about 25, stats say. So he's got a couple more years before he hits his prime season, but he gets a significantly better quarterback in Nick Foles, and they better start Nick Foles. All you people who say that Nick Foles is not an upgrade from Mitch Trubisky, you're out of your fucking mind. Mitch Trubisky is arguably the worst quarterback in the league in terms of the statistics. Literally, actually, it's not even arguably. The statistics say he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, and he is. It's a bad pick, one of the greatest draft bust picks of all time. People are going to be talking about it in 20 years, how they traded up, gave up the farm, and then shit the bed. But he was 13th in carries last year. Guy had 242 carries. He had over 265 touches as a rookie, receptions and carries combined. Over 260. That is unbelievable as a rookie. It's not going to decline this year. They didn't take a running back. They have Tariq Cohen, but is Tariq Cohen ever going to pose a threat to taking his carries away from him? If you said yes to that, just walk away and just smash your head into some drywall, because the guy is 5'6". I mean, like what? Who is thinking that? I just don't get it. And he was, I think it was top 5. I talked about him in my in another video that I did. I can't remember, but he was top 5 in dropped passes for running backs last year. As small and scatback-ish as he is, he's not as reliable in the receiving game as people just paint him out to be because he's got the persona of someone like that. David Montgomery was also 11th in goal line carries last year. As a rookie, all of these stats you have to remember with there's the umbrella hanging over it all, that he was a rookie. Rookies, 9 times out of 10, typically do not get the workload in their first year that they will in years after, once they just get better with all the coaches and everything. Guys who have been there for several more years have better rapport, and just as everyone just gets to trust him more, and he just has more opportunity to prove that he can do it. And so with 13th in carries last year and 11th in goal line carries, I mean, I've actually seen mock drafts where David Montgomery has gone in the 8th round. In the 8th round. You're getting workhorse type work and a guy who's always being used in the red zone. When they get into the red zone, and even better yet, when they get into the green zone inside of the 10-yard line, he's being used and he's being targeted by the coaches. They're feeding him the ball at top 12 rates. And you can get him at average the 6th round, the 5th, 6th round. That is unbelievable. He's a great value pick. He's a wonderful sleeper. I got him on my list for that same reason. Next guy, though, Josh Jacobs. So the reason I love Josh Jacobs is because, one, he's Josh Jacobs, and he's super talented. We know that. But the team execs, Mayock, Gruden, have come out and said that they want to give him more work in the receiving game. Now, take it with what you may, a grain of salt. I don't know, because obviously actions are going to be speaking louder than words. But for a team to come out and publicly say that about their running back, their rookie running back, again another rookie last year, it doesn't bode bad for them. It's a good thing in every regard. But he was number 1 in elusive rating last year. Number 1. The most elusive running back in the NFL. Now, that's a combination of jukes, of breaking tackles, of anything that basically makes a defender miss. He was number 1 in elusive rating. As a rookie, again, the overhanging umbrella, as a rookie, he has to take the step forward. He has to. Very few running backs have their best season as a rookie. Almost all of them take a step forward at the first 2-3 years into their game. And DeAndre Washington is no longer on the team. Now, a lot of you may have said, who the fuck? And that's a good question, because while he's not a big fantasy name, he had 40 targets last year. 40 targets. That means that there's 40 targets out of that backfield alone, not even just the team, that are gone, wiped away. Now, even if Jacobs gets half of those, and Jalen Richard, the backup, who's also kind of like the third down back, the guy who is better in the receiving game, gets his normal workload. He doesn't go down at all. Jacobs and him still stay at their same workload, and Jacobs only gets half of those targets, 20 extra targets in a full PPR league, which is what all my stuff is based off of. That is massive. That could be potentially 20 extra points. One of them leads to a touchdown, maybe 2, 12 points. One of them breaks a long screen, 40 yards. I mean, it's like it can add up. 20 targets alone, even half. I'm just saying 20 targets now because I'm just assuming that he obviously isn't going to get all 40 of those. Let's say he just gets half of those, 20. That is massive. He finished as a top 10 running back last year with DeAndre Washington getting that workload. And he's number 9 in yards created, meaning that yards that he would not have created are the yards that are created by the offensive line. So yards created are yards that he earned himself, that he got on his own throughout any blocking and was able to just do it on his own. Number 9. This guy is going typically as a back-end first round, high second round, early second round running back, but he should be going as a mid-round running back. Like, I have him at running back 7. I think I could be higher on him. I mean, the stats point to yes. Again, it's all overhanging the fact that he's a rookie. They added a few weapons, sure, but it was on the receiving game. I mean, they added 3 receivers on the team, in the draft at least. And he didn't get a ton of receiving work last year anyway. I mean, he was top 10 in rush yards, but anywhere near that. He was just nowhere near that in the receiving game. Like, he's not known for, at least he wasn't last year, for his receiving prowess. It's his rushing prowess. And for them to have not added any competition in the backfield to him is massive. 4, I got DK Metcalf. So this is the one receiver I got. I love DK Metcalf. I have Tyler Lockett ahead of him in my rankings, other Seahawks receiver, but I could make a case. I mean, anyone can make a case. I think that he should be ranked higher ahead of him because, yeah, Tyler Lockett has the rapport with Russell Wilson, but that's because he's been there for 5 years. DK coming into his second year, he's going to take a step forward. Most rookie receivers take about 6, 7, 8 weeks to really get worked into the full offense. It's just, I don't know why. They make sure they have to learn the offense and all that stuff, but they just don't get fully worked in until right about halfway through the season. And on the back half of the season, he started to blow up. We saw the bigger games, the more ceiling games, and then just his floor started to rise as he was targeted more. Not only was he targeted more, of those targets, he had 24 deep targets as a rookie again. He was 17th in deep targets in the entire year. And again, he's a rookie. He's not worked into the full length of the offense at the beginning of the year. Almost no wide receivers are. The point here is that if you have over 100 targets as a rookie, if you are 17th in deep targets as a rookie, and you have Russell Wilson throwing you those targets, one of the most efficient and accurate quarterbacks in the entire league, they start to add up and mean more than if you have Sam Darnold throwing you the ball, because he's Sam fucking Darnold and he's not that good. Russell Wilson is fantastic, arguably the best quarterback in the league. You can make the case for a couple guys. Pat Mahomes obviously is, but second best, Russell Wilson is very much so in that conversation. I love DK Metcalf this year. If I were to sit here and tell you, oh, draft DK Metcalf because he's big and athletic. Yeah, the guy had a combine freaking masterpiece. We've all seen the photos of him just being absolutely shredded and look like he will rip off a 4-year-old's head. But it's just because of the opportunity that's there. They didn't draft a wide receiver. They really didn't draft any receiving threat. The only really skill position player they went for in the draft was a running back. And they already have two. They already have one viable one when he's healthy, and then a backup, and now they have a backup to the backup. But no receiving threats, so he's going to continue to build on the workload that he had last year. I love DK Metcalf a lot, and he's going late in drafts. I mean, he's going outside of the top 30 wide receivers, and he's had over 100 targets last year, and he's 17th in deep targets. If you can get him later in rounds, absolutely go for it. Don't reach for him, rather. But if you have the chance to get him, do it. So, lastly, my fifth guy and the one tight end on the list is Tyler Higbee. Let me just run through Tyler Higbee's stats from last year. Just a few of them. 7th in targets for tight ends. 11th in deep targets for tight ends. 6th in receptions. 7th in receiving yards. 4th in yards after the catch. First in red zone receptions. 5th best catch rate. Outside of one of those stats, he's top 10 in just about every important category. All while he wasn't even listed as the starting tight end on the team. It was Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett misses a couple weeks. It's the Tyler Higbee show. He goes fucking nuts. And now, starting this year, if you look on the Rams depth chart, guess who's the starting tight end? Tyler Higbee. He earned it. He proved it. He worked for it. If he comes into this year as the starting tight end and getting maybe not the workload or everything, the opportunity that he had while Everett was gone, but just the workload that he should get as the starting tight end in general, there's no reason why he shouldn't finish as a top 6, 7 tight end. That's where I have him listed as 7 in my rankings, but there's just so much opportunity for him. Not to mention that the Rams throw it the 6th most in the league. They throw it a ton. He's getting a bunch of opportunity. When they get close, Jared Goff targets him. Number 1 in red zone receptions. 7th in targets. Freaking 7th in receiving yards. Fantastic after the catch. 4th in yards after the catch. There's no reason why you shouldn't be all over Tyler Higbee this year. Absolutely none. And again, this is all while he's splitting time with Gerald Everett last year. Those are last year's stats where he was splitting time with Gerald Everett, and not only splitting time, but was literally the second string tight end on that team. He's going to be the starter this year. You should absolutely go for Tyler Higbee. I love him. So guys, that was my top 5 sleepers for the 2020 fantasy season. If you liked it or you liked any of the picks, let me know in the comments. Let me know by hitting the subscribe, keep following, hit the like button, do something. Just let me know. Or like I said, or not like I said, but like I always say, you can tell me to go slam my head in a car door. I mean, that's perfectly fine too. Either way, you're going to get a laugh out of me or a smile, and you're going to make my day. So just do that. Spread some love. Subscribe, like, all that good shit. Morning wood, stay hard.